Welcome to the deep dive and specifically today's daily vibe casting.
Your daily dose of what's buzzing.
Exactly. We're jumping straight into today's biggest posts from X, cutting through all that noise.
Yep, getting you the sharp insights, the stuff that matters.
We'll hit tech, world events, cultural shifts,
Mm.
fast, focused, like seasoned presenters giving you the lowdown.
And we've picked these posts carefully. It's not just about trends, it's about why they matter, helping you connect those dots.
All right, let's kick things off. First one's from @Elon Musk, posted yesterday morning. He wrote, I wonder if Marcus Aurelius could have done more to carry Rome to greater heights, or whether that was as good a job as could have been done.
Interesting to see Musk thinking about ancient Rome, right? Like, what's the link to today?
It's a great question. It's not just a history homework. Marcus Aurelius, back in, 161 to 180 CE, he dealt with massive stuff.
Like plagues and wars. Exactly. The Antonine Plague wiped out maybe 7–10% of the population. Huge impact. Plus the Marcomannic Wars ragged on. And the historian Edward Gibbon, in his big work on Rome's decline.
Decline and fall, yeah.
Gibbon kind of hinted that maybe Aurelius picking his son Commodus as successor instead of a better general wasn't Rome's best moment. Might have sped up the decline.
So Musk pondering this, it's maybe about limits, even for great leaders.
Could be. Maybe it reflects the pressures of building something huge like Starlink or XAI. Are you reaching the peak or just managing the inevitable challenges? It's a subtle point about leadership and legacy.
Okay, from ancient Rome to modern money, very modern. Bitcoin. This one's from @Saylor, also yesterday morning. If you don't stop buying Bitcoin, you won't stop making money. https.t.caj9s2gpo1t8. Wow. That's quite the statement. Super confident.
Definitely bold. But it comes from his company, MicroStrategy. They've been buying Bitcoin aggressively since 2020. Like, really aggressively.
How much are we talking?
Their holdings are valued around, get this, $74 billion now, with a 362% unrealized gain. They hold over 3% of all Bitcoin.
Whoa.
So Saylor sees it as a shield against inflation. There was some research, like from the National Bureau of Economic Research, that touches on this. His confidence really stems from Bitcoin's scarcity, right? Only 21 million ever.
And the halving events.
Exactly. Less new supply comes online. Historically, that's pushed the price up. So for MicroStrategy, this high-risk bet has paid off massively so far. Their stock's up like 3,500% since 2020.
Incredible numbers. Okay, next, a potential major shift in healthcare policy. This is from @WallStreetApes, posted yesterday morning, too. This is massive area. RFK Jr. says HHS is investigating every hidden big pharma incentive to doctors to push vaccines and eliminating them. We're scanning every corner of the healthcare system for hidden incentives that corrupt medical judgment. What we're finding is alarming. https.td.ABC57ZWFE7. Okay, eliminating them. That sounds huge. What would that actually mean for doctors and patients?
Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as the head of HHS, is basically saying these financial ties, like Medicare payments linked to childhood vaccination rates, are immoral. And he wants them gone.
So it's not just vaccines, it's broader.
Yeah, it seems like a wider look at corporate influence.
Yeah.
He's concerned about things like, ProPublica found hundreds of doctors getting millions from drug companies for promotional stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the government directly challenging how money flows in healthcare. It's unprecedented, really.
Potential shakeup of the whole system.
Could be. A real reevaluation of whether incentives serve patients or, profits.
All right, from potentially systemic changes in healthcare to a more everyday frustration. Airport security, this is @Jack Posobiec yesterday morning. Not being able to bring liquids on aircraft serves no viable security purpose. It is a corporate handout to companies that sell overpriced products inside the airport. They heavily lobby for this restriction to stay in place. Okay, I think everyone feels this one, that little plastic bag.
Right. And the skepticism is out there. There was a study back in 2014 suggesting detection tech has improved so much, the 100 milliliter limit doesn't add much against liquid explosives anymore.
So where does the corporate handout idea come in?
Well, the Post claims lobbying, and data from Open Secrets, which tracks political spending, shows the air transport industry spent over $36 million on lobbying just this year.
36 million.
Yeah. So it raises that question, doesn't it? Is it purely safety? Or are those overpriced airport shops benefiting from the restriction?
Definitely makes you think next time you're buying that tiny water bottle.
Exactly.
Okay, switching gears completely, a very personal post now. This is from @MattVinceWool yesterday afternoon. Probably means nothing to anyone but me. My parents are coming with me and my family to church this morning. The last time my parents and I went to church together, I walked out in the middle of it and never went back. I'm so excited about today.
Huh. That's actually really touching, isn't it?
Right.
Sharing something so personal. It really is. It's a story of personal reconciliation, with family, with faith, and it kind of reflects a bigger picture, too. Regular church attendance has dropped quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like weekly attendance is around 20% now, compared to maybe 32% back in 2000. So this personal story, it also hints at maybe a broader cultural current. People finding their way back, perhaps. Sort of a modern prodigal son moment, in a way.
A powerful personal moment, tapping into larger shifts. Okay, next one. Prepare for a wave of nostalgia. From @AdrianDittman yesterday afternoon. AOL will discontinue its dial-up internet service on September 30, 2025. After 34 years in operation, the famous dial-up modem handshake sound burned into our memories will now become a relic of the past. https://t.co1bh1xpfljn. Oh man, that sound. That's iconic.
Totally iconic. After 34 years, it's really the end of an era. It just perfectly shows how tech moves on.
Right.
What was the way to get online is now basically gone.
Replaced by broadband almost everywhere.
Almost everywhere. Tiny fraction of users left in really remote spots, maybe. But yeah, that sound is officially becoming history.
Wow. Makes you feel old. Okay, next up, politics. A bit of a confrontation. From @EricEldow yesterday afternoon. Saw WOW. NBC's Kristen Welker, of all people, called out J.B. Pritzker right to his face on how badly gerrymandered Illinois is. He had absolutely nothing to say in response. https://olqblk_ex. Every group that grades the fairness of congressional maps gives Illinois an F and oof. Being called out on national TV like that, tough.
Yeah, Kristen Welker on Meet the Press didn't hold back. She pointed out that Illinois gets an F grade for fairness on its congressional maps from groups like the Princeton Gerrymandering Project.
And gerrymandering, for anyone less familiar, that's drawing the maps to favor one party, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in Illinois, the data shows the maps heavily favor Democrats, like 14 likely Dem districts versus only 3 Republican ones.
How do they do that?
Through packing and cracking. You pack your opponent's voters into a few districts so they win big there but lose elsewhere, or you crack their supporters across many districts so they don't have a majority anywhere. The awkward part for Pritzker is he often criticizes other states for doing the same thing.
Nah, the hypocrisy angle.
Right, it highlights that double standard in the whole political map-making fight.
Okay, let's move to something with potentially big cultural ripples, surprisingly from a sorority video. This is from @ThePatriotOasis, posted yesterday afternoon. Stuff just in. University of Tennessee's Kappa Delta sorority is now going viral for their new video wearing jeans. This is rapidly becoming a major national movement in the right direction. ohttps://jigzitbf5sc. Okay. Jeans. Going viral. What's the context here? Is this about fashion trends or something deeper?
Well, the post frames it as significant. The Kappa Delta sorority members are wearing jeans, which apparently contrasts with maybe more revealing styles seen recently in similar videos. The right direction comment suggests the poster sees it as a move towards maybe modesty or more traditional values.
Interesting. A fashion choice sparking a values discussion.
Exactly. And it sort of touches on broader observations people make about culture, like discussions around body modifications or tattoos, things like that. It's a small thing wearing jeans, but it's clearly tapping into a larger conversation about shifting norms.
Fascinating how these things catch fire. Okay, tech time again. Big news from Tesla. From @SawyerMerit yesterday afternoon. Elon today on Tesla's Dojo project. https://ts.co f2u94 Okay, the link implies big news, and it is. Dojo's being shut down. What's going on there?
Yeah, huge news. Elon Musk announced Tesla is shutting down its Dojo supercomputer project. This was supposed to be their custom AI training hardware.
Why the change? It sounded so cutting edge.
Well, the official line is they're pivoting to their AI 6 chip as a better convergence architecture. It sounds like Dojo maybe ran into too many hurdles. Remember, Tesla recently made that massive $16.5 billion deal with Samsung for AI 6 chips.
Right.
And there were reports of Dojo delays, power issues, like an incident in 2022 that apparently tripped a power substation in San Jose.
So practicality's won out over the bespoke dream.
Seems like it. It's a pretty surprising U-turn, honestly. Shows how tough developing this super advanced tech can be, even for Tesla. Strategic shift.
Okay, from supercomputers to something maybe more relatable. Graduation impatience. This is from @TheOnlyDSC, posted yesterday evening. She lost her patience waiting for her son's name to be read at an 8th grade graduation. Can we stop pretending they're like us now? https://p.com/AKGP503. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I think many parents might secretly relate to that feeling during long ceremonies.
That's a funny video, yeah.
Yeah.
Just pure impatience. But, 8th grade graduations themselves have kind of become bigger deals, more elaborate ceremonies than maybe they used to be.
It's true, like mini high school graduations sometimes.
Right. It sort of reflects this cultural trend of celebrating milestones earlier, maybe sometimes over-celebrating. And the Post comment, "Can we stop pretending they're like us now?" adds, well, an interesting layer might be referencing cultural differences in expressing emotion at public events, maybe. Which, surprisingly, even connects back to historical context, like racial segregation in U.S. schools. How far we've come, yet still noticing cultural nuances in shared public spaces.
Wow, a funny video sparking quite a bit of underlying commentary.
Yeah, layers.
Okay, next one is a bit quirky. It's about measurements. From @OrwellGood yesterday evening, it seems to reference a post, probably an image, that humorously critiques temperature and height scales. I haven't seen the image, but the idea of critiquing Fahrenheit versus Celsius or feet versus meters, it's always fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It taps into how arbitrary some of our everyday systems are, like Fahrenheit, right? Based on brine freezing and body temperature. It gives you finer detail for weather, maybe.
While Celsius is based on water freezing and boiling, cleaner for science.
Exactly. And the height thing, using feet and inches, that's the imperial system, rooted in medieval England, spread by the British Empire.
Versus the metric system, which is more globally standard now.
Right. So the humor points out these historical quirks and cultural biases baked right into how we measure the world every day. Kind of makes you look at the thermometer differently.
Definitely. Okay, back to big economics and politics. This sounds major. From @Kobesa letter yesterday evening. Most people don't realize how massive this announcement truly is. This covers 15% of revenue from China, not profit, for both Nvidia and AMD. It also means the Trump administration is now negotiating company-by-company trade deals. The trade war just entered a new era. Okay, revenue, not profit. That jumps out. Why is that such a big deal?
It's a fundamental shift. Think about it. Revenue is your total sales before costs. Profit is what's left after costs. So making Nvidia and AMD pay 15% of their total China chip sales, estimated maybe $2.5 billion a year combined to the U.S. government. That's taxing the top line, not the bottom line.
Which goes against typical free market ideas, right?
Totally. And it signals a new phase in trade policy under Trump, negotiating deals one company at a time rather than broad rules for everyone.
A whole new era, like the Post says.
Potentially. And it raises constitutional questions, too. The Constitution generally gives Congress the power to tax exports. Some critics are apparently calling it borderline extortion.
Wow. Definitely one to watch. Huge implications.
For sure. Redefining trade relations, executive power, big stuff.
Okay, nearly there. Next, a catchy phrase catching on. From @Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, yesterday evening. A fun fact. Pulling in El Salvador is now a thing.
Pulling in El Salvador. What does that actually mean?
It refers to President Bukele's really aggressive anti-gang crackdown in El Salvador. Since 2019, the homicide rate there has plummeted from like 38 per 100,000 people down to 2.4 last year. It's a dramatic drop.
How did they do it?
Well, controversially, they declared a state of emergency in 2022, arrested over 75,000 suspected gang members. Human rights groups have raised concerns, but the results on crime are undeniable.
And wasn't there something about Bitcoin, too?
Yeah, that's the other part of the El Salvador brand, maybe. They made Bitcoin legal tender in 2021. Pioneering, boosted tourism, also controversial. So pulling in El Salvador means bold, maybe controversial, but decisive action with big results.
Pretty much. A nation's specific policies becoming a global shorthand. Quite something.
Okay, our final post for today. A stark look at demographics. From @Timcast, late yesterday evening. Every year you will notice it more and more. There are less people, less workers, less businesses, less viewers, less sales. As boomers and silence die, there is no one to replace them in Gen Alpha. The death cliff is about 10 years away, where mortality of older boomers and the death cliff, that's sobering. What are the real-world impacts of this demographic trend he's talking about?
It's a big one. He's pointing out the baby boomer and silent generations, about 90 million people combined, are aging out. And because birth rates have fallen so much, the U.S. fertility rate was down to 1.6 last year, way below the 2.1 needed to replace the population.
There aren't enough younger people, like Gen Alpha, coming up behind them.
Exactly. So this death cliff around 2035 isn't just morbid talk. Census projections show deaths for over 65s increasing significantly by 2030. This could shrink the workforce by maybe 10–15%. Think about the economic impact.
Especially since boomers hold so much wealth.
Right. It's something like 70% of U.S. household wealth.
Yeah.
So fewer workers, potentially less spending, risk of economic stagnation. It's a major headwind coming the next decade or so.
Wow. profound implications across the board.
Definitely. Social, economic, everything.
And that wraps up our fast-paced daily vibecasting for today, brought to you by The Deep Dive.
Quite a mix, wasn't it? Ancient Rome, Bitcoin, healthcare, dial-up, demographics.
Yeah, a real snapshot of the conversations happening right now. Brisk and hopefully insightful.
It really shows how these posts, these little online moments, can hint at much bigger shifts happening all around us. Worth looking deeper.
So the question for you is, what buzz are you noticing in your world that feels like part of a bigger story? And how do you think that might shape what comes next?
Good question to ponder.
Thanks for joining us for today's deep dive into the daily vibecasting.